Hey, fellow traveler. Welcome to the Third Eye Awakening podcast, a show where we talk all about spiritual and psychic awakening, magic, the shift from 3D to 5D, starseeds, ascension, multiple timelines, multiple dimensions, the universe, the multiverse, the Akashic records, all the good things. I am your host, Amy Belair, and I'm so glad to have you here with me today. Okay, let's do this. Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Third Eye Awakening. Today I have my amazing friend Cara with me here. She's going to talk all about her spiritual awakening and the accelerated unfolding of her life over the last year, her cool experiences in childhood, all the wildness that's going on collectively right now, all the things. So Cara didn't give me a bio. Normally I read a bio, but I'm just going to hand it over to her right now to share more about who she is. Welcome, Cara. Thank you so much for coming and sharing your wisdom with us today.
Hi, Amy. I am so happy and delighted to be here. I've been listening to your podcast for quite a while now, and now that I'm here on it, it's like, okay, here I am. So a little intro about me. Well, I found you, and I think I mentioned this briefly on the last roundtable podcast we had with our other beautiful sisters, but I found you through the Priestess codes, which is your offering. I don't know if you're still doing another round of it, but I found you through that, and through the Priestess codes, which I will always plug as being a life-changing experience. Now I'm in various groups with you, and it's, again, life-changing every time we speak. But a little background about me is that I was introduced to the Priestess codes through Amron, who is another beautiful Priestess sister that Amy works with quite a bit. And it's funny because before I joined the Priestess codes, I was talking with Amron and working a little bit with Amron because it was around last February that I really felt called to reach out to somebody to start speaking about the things that I was experiencing. And so I reached out to Amron, and she, in working with Amron, she said, I really want you to talk to my friend Amy Belair. And she's an Akashic Records reader, and let's set up a time for you to meet with her. And I had never even heard of the Akashic Records. I was like, Akash, what? Huh? And she had set me up with you, and I think something happened where I had even made an appointment with you, and then something happened that month and I couldn't make the appointment. And then I think it was really my higher self or my soul saying, like, I don't know if you're quite ready to jump in yet. And so I think a month or so went by, and then one night I was on Instagram or social media, and I saw the plugs and the advertising for the Priestess codes, and it was like, I think it was like, tomorrow we start, so if you feel called for this and you know who you are, let us know because we start tomorrow. And I reached out to Amron, and I'm like, I'm feeling such a call to do this. I don't know what it is. I don't know what this is about. I don't even know if I'm a priestess, but I'm just getting the strongest urge to join this. And sure enough, here we are, fast forward to present day, where 100% I'm a priestess, 100% I am an intuitive psychic healer, whatever you want to call me. And now I have all the information, and it just keeps expanding more and more to be in this world with you and all these beautiful, amazing, like glorious other people and sisters.
It is amazing, and it's amazing how fast it's going. And I just have to take a moment and acknowledge how deeply gratifying it is for me to hear you say, like, and 100% I'm a priestess, and 100% I am an amazing intuitive psychic healer. It's just like, like right. Literal music to my ears.
Yeah, because, I did question it. And I think that was like, if I'm even going to go back into my childhood, I think like so many people, I questioned it for so long. And I think our society and programming really does everything it can to keep us in that questioning mode.
Yes.
We constantly talk about these voices, or we don't have words for what the programming is, or the dark forces, or Eye of Sauron, like you say, like to bring it to Lord of the Rings terms. But there is this force that people who are light beings, there's a source that's always wanting you to not come into your power. And I think from the time I was young, I fought against that. So to finally, I think maybe one of the first times I spoke with you all as a group, I talked about this image of the clouds and then the sun peeking its head out of the clouds and being like, the clouds and the dark denseness can be there. But once you realize that the sunlight and the light is always there, that you have the power to peek your head out and be like, actually, I'm going to brush these clouds away, and I am here. Like, you can be there. The clouds can be there, but I am here, and you can't take me away.
Yeah, totally. And fuck you. Exactly. I am here. I have a right to be here. And so I'm going to be here, and you can be here too, but you don't get to overpower my being here.
Exactly. Because it's not about like pushing anybody away. Everyone has a right. Every energy, every source has a right to be here. That's the whole concept of energy. There's no good and bad. There's no, black and white, evil, all the things. It's all here for a reason. But to know that then everything is perfect the way it is. So why we felt for so long that we weren't enough to be here is, well, we're figuring it out now.
Yeah, and it's part of the journey. I wonder to myself sometimes if, it's always, I feel always kind of hesitant when I say these sort of things, because I know that people genuinely experience suffering, and I don't ever want to minimize that and gloss over it with sort of spiritual bypassing, as it were. But I do think to myself that I wonder if the dark forces, in a way, is the matrix itself being or the dream itself being wake up. And it's gentle at first. Wake up. And
yeah,
the more we have this, really dramatic opposition that we notice, the more we remember hey, no, screw you, I'm powerful. No, this isn't right. No, I shouldn't feel small and diminished. No, I know that I'm more than this. I know that I shouldn't slave away at this job that I does nothing for me and sucks my soul dry. All the various no's that we feel, we wouldn't really feel those no's in such a pronounced and conscious way without the thing that's telling us. Or it's kind of everybody has that person that naysayed all of their dreams, and it's always sticking it to that person that's the ultimate motivator. So in that sense, that person is on your side in a way.
Yeah. Well, I think going back to the suffering, of course, suffering is real. Yes, I almost think in my life, the suffering that I experienced, because I do feel that I just in this lifetime alone, I've lived a very full life. And I know you just turned 40, Amy. Sorry to put your age out there.
I sure did.
I'm turning 40 in a couple months. And I'm in this 40 years of my life, I've packed in so much, and a lot of it was suffering, and a lot of it was hardship, and a lot of it was things that were painful, but I wouldn't trade it, because those experiences was the force that was saying, wake up. It was all of those experiences to build to where I am now. And now I'm okay, I wouldn't change it at all. So to even go back to like childhood, I felt like, so my parents told me, and I remember this distinctly, by the time my parents always said I was a really like kind of kind of I don't know the word for it, but unique child, because I didn't cry a lot. I came out almost like I didn't need anything. I didn't need my parents. I wasn't like a clingy child. I was very independent. My mom said she would put me in my crib and I would just laugh or talk to myself for hours without needing anybody else. And then as I think when I, was able to start talking, one of the first memories my mom said was that I said, I chose you, Mom. I chose you and Dad as my parents. And I remember where I came from. And, they parents were like, a little taken aback, like, okay, what is she saying here? This is back in the 80s. And my parents were pretty like open-minded, kind of hippies, grown up in Oregon. But they were even like taken aback, like, okay, we don't know what is happening here with this child. And I even said, my mom still brings this up. She was like, I said, I remember being a small boy in South America. That was the last place I was. And now I'm here.
Wow.
And then, like as I grew older, my mom always said I had like a really strong imagination. And I always talked about these imaginary friends who were so real to me. And I remember their names. Like, I think one of them was Kevin Brown was his name. There was Sally, and there was, for some reason, there was a duo named Snake and Lizard. But I had this world that really was such a real world to me. And it never crossed my mind until I got older, until somebody must have said something to me like, what are you talking about? Like, you're crazy. Because this world to me, and I don't know what to call it. I don't know if it was ghosts, spirits, energies, if I was like even combining like past lives with my life now. But I always felt like once I was told that I was like, that was weird or that was different, I always felt a little separate from everyone else. And then going from there, I always tried to kind of hide that part of myself. And so, moving into adolescence and a teenager and then young adulthood, I've always been told I'm weird my whole life. Like, Cara, oh yeah, she's a real weird one. But it was something that was like, until I got really comfortable with somebody, it was something to kind of like hide away or not show people because it would freak them out.
Right.
So if that makes sense. And then fast forwarding even to like a past couple years ago, because I really would say I love this story because this is just like a funny kind of awakening story. It wasn't last summer. It was the summer before. So I think we were in the midst of the pandemic lockdown, which all shook us. And it was a summertime, and my best friend, who I grew up with, and she's 100% one of my soul sisters. We decided, because we were so limited on activities of things that we could do, I really started venturing outdoors as much as I could. And I will say one of the huge benefits of the pandemic and the lockdown is that we all had to be creative and really switch up all the things that we used to do and find new avenues. So I just started, because I wasn't working, because I had lost most of my jobs. I was a Pilates. I still am. I'm a movement Pilates yoga teacher, but most of the studios had closed. So I had lost most of my jobs and I was on unemployment, but it was this liberating feeling because I was like, well, what am I going to do today? I had like my car packed with my daughter, like, let's go outdoors. Let's find a new place to explore today. Cause that's what we could do. And it was amazing. Like, I saw the world from a completely different lens. And the outdoors became like my sanctuary, my happy place, my church. And so going back to the story, and this is where my mind, it goes a million directions, and I try to like bring it back to the path of the beginning of the story. But I was with my best friend, and we were like, what should we do today? So we decided to go float a river. And it's something we've done in the past. It's like something you do here. You float the river, and it's called, I think it's 2 towns. You start at this town called Barton, and it's like usually like, depending on the time of the summer, how fast the river's flowing, you get in your floaty, and it could take anywhere from like 3 to 5 hours till you end up in Carver, Barton to Carver. I always called it B to C. Let's go float B to C today. And so it was her and I, and every time we get together, it's some sort of an adventure. We're just like, we always are just like waiting for what the adventure is going to bring. And so we get in our rafts, and we were pretty ill prepared, I will say. Like, I didn't have a wet bag for my phone. I didn't have we didn't have the proper tools to float a 4-hour float down the river. We had to leave one car at one station, the other car at the other. And we were just kind of half-assing it, like, okay, let's just see how this goes. It ended up being quite an adventure. Halfway through the float, I realized that I had lost my shoes. We had like gone down a little rapid. I had lost my shoes. I had lost my sunglasses. And then maybe 3/4 down, this is like 4 hours into the float down the river. Mind you, it's amazing. It's so beautiful and like such an amazing experience. But I realized that my phone had completely got submerged in water. I think I had it in like a little plastic bag, and it was just floating in the water.
Oh no.
And you know about this phone situation in the water.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh my gosh, okay. And that for some reason, at that very moment, I was like, I think the river just baptized me. I think that this is all a huge lesson, and the river is teaching me that all of these things don't matter. Wow. That all that matters right now is that like I'm here enjoying this present moment in this day with my best friend, and we are just letting the river teach us all the lessons we need.
What an amazing thought to just have, so everyone, I just tried to go pee the other day while holding William while he was screaming, and dropped my phone in the toilet. So I do know about the wet phone very freshly. And it's, of course you're going to have that little moment where you're like, damn it. But how amazing to then like have this thought that like, oh, I think the river's baptizing me, and I'm being schooled right now about like what actually matters. And this beautiful scenery, this beautiful experience, and me and my friend together, and our hearts being connected and our energy fields being connected, that's what matters.
That was a big awakening moment, because I really feel like I surrendered to Mother Earth or Gaia. That was a huge surrendering moment where I was like, maybe all of this really is for a purpose, that like, because I wasn't worried, like I couldn't get a hold of anybody anymore. And I think the past version of myself would have been like, oh my God, I'm fucked, I'm doomed, like, because we're all so attached to our technology and phones. But I just took it as like, this is what I need. This is a lesson that Mother Earth, Gaia, is teaching me, and I am going to go from here. And so that theme continued to be very pervasive from there on, and even up until now. I mean, we talk about it all the time, in our groups, that like Mother Earth is, and there's all these theories, like, is she crying out for help? I truly don't believe she is. I believe that she is anybody who's willing to like open themselves and surrender themselves to her knowledge and to her teachings and her guidance. She's showing us the ways. Like, she's so, I don't know if everybody really is opening up their eyes to like the sunsets, and you talk about like these, how bright and how magnificent the sun is right now. Like, you just look around. I feel like my eyes have opened up to how much beauty that the earth can give. And it's just, that's been just a huge awakening in itself. And so I think Mother Earth is happy, because I think more and more people are seeing her for her true beauty, whereas we were so bogged down before by all of these things that really didn't matter. The matrixy stuff. Our jobs, our day-to-day lives, our material things, our anything, now it's all starting to shed away, and it's really just now the true essence of the earth shining through.
So was that a big moment of like new awakening for you, that sort of baptism? Like, because I mean your trajectory over the last year has been very accelerated.
Very fast.
Yeah.
Very fast. Yeah, I think that was a huge opening of awakening about, and I call it my baptism. We actually have it like on our calendar. My friend and I were like, the day Cara got baptized. Because I wasn't raised religiously at all. In fact, I think maybe my grandma, my mom's mom, secretly baptized me, but because she was a staunch Irish Catholic woman. But my mom thinks she like took me to a priest one time, my brother and I secretly, to baptize us, so we wouldn't go to hell.
Or limbo.
But I was not raised religiously. In fact, I never have read the Bible. I know very few like stories. So this was, I think I called it, at age 38 years old, my baptism.
That's amazing.
And then, from there, I would say that it's interesting now that I think about it. This all happened again in last year. I had another huge awakening as well. And this had come after I had joined the Priestess Codes. The whole Priestess Codes portal, I mean, those transmissions were, like I said, I don't have words for it because they're life-changing. But it was actually this knowledge, and I think I said this to you, it was like all of this knowledge, and that it wasn't like I had never known it before. It was a returning to my truest self.
Yeah.
It wasn't like these were really obscure thoughts or like, whoa, like I've never heard this before. It was like, coming from ancient wisdom that I had already known, but it was now returning back to my soul. And so coming from that, I coincidentally was with, again, my friend who I had the baptism with. It was her 40th birthday. And for her 40th birthday in July, she wanted to climb a mountain in Central Oregon. And so she got a group of her friends to sign up for this epic journey. I call it my epic hobbit journey, where we climbed a mountain. It was called South Sister, which is so fitting because, she really is my soul sister. And I didn't really train for it. I mean, I'm in pretty good shape physically because that's my job, and I'm very into movement and moving my physical body, but I hadn't per se trained to climb a mountain. For her 30th birthday, we climbed Mount St. Helens, which is close by in Washington, but we were 30, and so that wasn't too hard of a feat. And so we're thinking, 10 years later, like, we can do this. It ended up being probably the hardest thing I've done in my life.
Wow.
And it was another huge awakening moment. Again, it was like the mountain, Gaia, Mother Earth, teaching me so many lessons. But it's such a magical story. And I don't think I ever told you, Amy, about it, because I think this was before I joined, my apprenticeship group with you. But I was still talking with the ladies from the Priestess Codes, my little pod of ladies, which was Heather and Claudia and Christina. And they kind of witnessed this whole journey with me. So because I know my linear brain, before I even go on the story of climbing the mountain, I will say that I'm super into astrology. It's actually what I'm doing now. And I realized that I have my North and South Node in Cancer and Capricorn. And I think you do too, Amy.
I do.
I think you do. I think it will, because we're born at such close months.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you probably have it too. If not, it's close.
Because I think it's an 18-month transit.
North and South Node being kind of what you come into this life already having accomplished, and then what you're coming into this life trying to achieve. That's what the North and South Node mean, at least for me, because everyone's interpretation is different. But my North Node is in Cancer, which coincidentally, when I climbed the mountain, was Cancer season. And my South Node is in Capricorn. So a South Node in Capricorn means that, like, I came into this world already having achieved maybe like material or earthly success in past lives, or just whatever. That's what I kind of already know, and that's not going to be a struggle for me. The struggle, or what I'm trying to achieve in this lifetime, is emotional security. Like Cancer being, vulnerable, emotional security.
What house is your North Node in?
What was that?
What house is your North Node in?
It's in my 12th house.
Oh. Oh, wow.
Yeah. So you can go down that whole trail. And so I think, when I bring the astrological, like, sense into it, it even makes it that more profound. So I'll go back to climbing this mountain. It was like on July 6th, my friend's actual birthday. We start early in the morning. We start climbing the mountain, I think at like 6 in the morning. And we get about halfway up the mountain. And this was I just love this journey because it's just such a metaphor for life. We make it, we think, to what is halfway up the mountain, by like 11 in the morning. And we're getting pretty tired because it is an upward hike. You're climbing up a mountain. There's no like reprieve. There's no like little downhill and uphill. You're going up the entire time. And so we stopped for like a snack lunch, and we're all like, whew, we did not know what we got ourselves into.
You're like, wow, we're old.
It is something. I don't even know what it is, but it's something. And even from the beginning of the mountain up, I kept seeing these little butterflies. And I felt like I kept seeing butterflies. Like every time I started being like, oh, this is so hard. Like, how am I going to do this? Like kind of the self-doubt coming in, I would see a butterfly. And I took it as a sign. It's like a soul guide or a sign. Like, keep going, keep going. There's magic at the top. And so that was just, I kept seeing butterflies the whole way. So we get halfway up the mountain, we go a little bit further, and then we see this huge, huge steep, what we think is the summit. We really think it's the summit of the mountain. And we're like, so when you see the summit of a mountain, you're like, it gives you that extra push. It gives you that extra adrenaline rush. You're like, yes, okay, I see the top. I can do this. So we, and we're getting to the point where it's pretty high elevation. So we're starting to like get a little short of breath, and things are getting a little weird. And we make this final push of what we thought was the final push to what we thought was the summit. And we make our way to this landing point, which is a false summit.
Oh, no.
We get all there, and we're like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Because we look up, and there's more. But isn't that such a good metaphor for life?
Such a good, and like, awakening, right?
We're all just like total air out of our balloon, like, oh God. And and we all just sit there kind of, we're speechless. And we're like, well, I mean, what do we even go further? Like that, because it was like a hobbit. It was like a hobbit journey. Like, then you see how much more you have to go. And you see, and mind you, there's not a ton of people climbing the mountain. There's a couple other people, but we see like these little ant figures climbing to what is the actual summit, and it looks so far away, and it looks so daunting, and we're just like, I don't think we have it. I don't think we have it in us. So we sit, we take another about half an hour, 45-minute break, and at this point, we're like, we're getting kind of short on water and supplies. And there is, though, at this fall summit, there was a beautiful, gorgeous glacier lake.
Wow.
And that in itself, we're like, well, just to see this is amazing. So, like, let's give gratitude for this. So we're sitting around, and finally a couple people, I think there was about 7 of us, a couple people were like, you know what, we're going to call it. We're going to listen to our intuition, and we're just going to head back down, because honestly, at this point, to head back down the mountain is going to take us another 4 or 5 hours. So we might as well just call it now and head back down. And I totally give those people props, because they listen to their intuition. And I was on the fence. I was so on the fence. I really was like, maybe I should take that route and go back. But there was something inside of me, and the intuition inside of me was like, nope, I think you should try for the top. So we pack up our shit and we start climbing. And this was really, it was hard. It was in the middle of summer. The sun was beating down. There's no trees. You're climbing the summit of a mountain. And I had 2 poles. Thank God I had 2 poles, because I don't know how I would have done it otherwise. And I'm climbing. We start climbing. It's at the point now where we have to take, we climb for a minute or 2 minutes, and then we have to stop and take a 1 or 2 minute break. And then climb another couple minutes, and then take another couple minutes break. And we're getting there. We're getting towards the top, and this old man, he's probably in his 70s. We see him coming down, and I look at him and I say, "Can you please give me anything right now to get to the top of this mountain? Just tell me, should I turn back?" And he said, he was like this spirit mountain man.
Yeah.
I don't know. He was like, "I will just say this. There is so much magic at the top of this mountain. I can't tell you what it is, but it is so worth it. Please believe in yourself, because you will see the most magical thing ever." And we're like, okay. I mean, we really are at the end. We're at the end of our rope. And I keep seeing the butterflies as we start reaching closer and closer to the top. There's more and more butterflies. It's amazing. And I just kept saying, these are my guides telling me to keep going. So I think nearly 10 minutes to the top, I break down. I start crying. I'm like, I can't do it. And I see more and more butterflies, and my friend is like, "Cara, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much agony are you in?" I'm like, 11. She hasn't had a baby, but I'm like, this is so much worse than childbirth. I don't know why. I don't know why you made me do this for your fucking birthday.
You selfish jerk.
I'm like, I would much rather push out a baby out of my vagina right now than do this. And she was like, "Well, sorry, but are you going to turn back now?" And so we make it to the top. And I know this is a long, drawn-out story, but we make it to the top. And let me tell you, we get to the top. There are swarms. I'm talking thousands upon thousands of monarch butterflies.
Wow.
Forming at the top of this mountain. I have videos I have to show you, and they're just swarming around. And you're up at the apparently we found out that this is like a once in every couple years experience that these butterflies here.
Wow.
And it took all of our breath away, literally and figuratively, and we all just started crying, like tears of joy just streaming down our faces. It was just like, we did this. Look at the magic, look at the beauty, we felt literally like the queens of the earth, like.
Wow.
And part of that journey was me surrendering. And it was so emotional. And so when I even think about this, like Cancer, North Node, it was like I had to surrender to the emotional experience of it. You know?
Right. Like navigating the challenge.
Was my lesson to just surrender to the emotion of it.
Isn't that amazing? Because mountains, to me, are always like Capricorn. Capricorn is the mountain.
Totally, because that's the earth. It's Capricorn.
Yeah.
It's earth energy.
And the mountain was like, I'm not the hard part. Your emotional experience of this is the hard part.
The emotional experience was the hardest part for me.
Wow.
It wasn't like the physical, yes, was hard, but it was the mind, the emotional games that were being played the entire way up.
Wow.
And I have to show you the pictures because it's so amazing. And there were glacier lakes at the very top too.
Do you have them on your Instagram?
I do. Yeah.
Okay, so if you're okay with it, then we'll share your Instagram handle in the show notes.
Yeah. Please look at my Instagram, and I think I even have videos of the butterflies, and they're so fast that
Right.
I think there's only a couple of still images of them, but it was just, I mean, this was when I was like, okay, there is so much more to this 3D life than I could ever explain. If we are moving into fifth dimension, this is such a sign for me that I'm on my path there. And it was probably other than the birth of my child, one of the most profound moments of my life.
But it's a very analogous too, right? Because it's like this huge, hard physical feat. But the physicality it's challenging, but if your emotional shit if it's not tested, it's the emotions that are challenging more than the physicality. But at the end, if you can, surrender, but also it's like, what's the word I'm searching for?
It's a huge surrender.
It's a surrender, but it's also like mastery of your emotions through the surrender.
Yes.
And then you get rewarded with your baby or a mountaintop of glacial lakes and butterflies, which is not even a guaranteed experience to see those butterflies at the top of that mountain.
And I'm so glad that spirit mountain man told me that, because it was just what we needed. It was the medicine we needed at that moment.
And that he didn't spoil it for you either. He's like, I can't tell you, but just believe in yourself. Just get there.
I mean, I almost want to make a movie out of this day because it was. It's like, did you ever read or see that movie Wild?
Yes.
About the woman who did the Pacific Crest Trail.
Yes.
It's just like there is so much magic into what these experiences can give us.
100%. And so, what do you believe about 3D and 5D, having had experiences like that and just being on the journey that you're on?
Oh, well, I personally think you've used this analogy and it's so spot on for me. I personally think humanity is being birthed right now into, if we're going to 5D, I think we are in our process of going there. I think we're in the birth canal. I do think literally right now, in this very time that we're in, we are in, like you said, that pause phase before we start pushing. I do. Everything within my being and my experiences I'm going through is telling me that. And I will say, today first day of December. And if you look, I just thought of this morning. It's 12/1/21. And look at the magic in those numbers. Talk about synchronicities and seeing numbers. But we have 12121.
Oh my God. So magical.
You know, it's more like when you open your eyes, when you awaken, when you open your eyes, you will see it. It's not like it's like, oh, you have to like reach some amazing enlightenment level. It's like, why are all these people describing and seeing the same things? Because it's happening. We can't deny it. It's happening.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like my brain still wants to deny it sometimes, or just be like, it's so funny. Yeah. Like, my brain is like, nothing's coming. You're full of shit.
Yes, of course. Because none of us know what is.
Well, that's right. And because, like, meanwhile, life also feels very normal, right? So on one hand, it feels very surreal, and on the other hand, it feels very normal. And so it's easy for the mind to be like, you're making up the surrealness. Like, you're creating that, and actually, you know, the evidence is that everything's normal. But also, I think, like, any time that any big event happens, any big event, like, nobody leading up to, just to take an example that comes off the top of my head, 9/11. I'm pretty sure that even people who
I knew you were going to say that too, by the way.
Of course, because we're psychically linked. No, even people who had dreams or premonitions or heard intel about it, probably with the normalcy of every day leading up to it, they were probably wrestling with themselves, being like, nothing is happening. It was just a dream, or it was just a vision, or this is just hearsay that somebody shared with me. Because they're looking around, and it's not until the moment that it happens, the moment it goes down, that, you know, you really are like, oh, okay, shit, for real. It's like, which, you know, is not how people felt during 9/11. It was much more panicky and terrible. But for this example of, like, you know, whatever is birthing us into our 5D self, like, that's really all I can.
And maybe we just don't have the terms. Maybe our human brains are only capable of speaking in it in, like, very limited terms. So if it is from third dimension to fifth dimension or whatever it is, but we energetically can feel that there is a huge, massive shift. And if you don't feel it, I mean, I'm not putting anybody in certain categories, but are you living under a rock? I don't know. I just feel like everything is happening at such a rapid pace, and then I just even talking to people who normally would not talk about the things we talk about. They even mention things to me that they're like, yeah, like, I feel like something's coming.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really don't think it could be something, you know, catastrophic, but that's kind of the way the earth is. Like, there's catastrophes every day.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that, and even astrologically, like, if you look at astrology, like, planets are aligning in ways they haven't aligned in thousands of years. And it's going to keep happening for, you know, the next couple of years.
Well, I was saying to Heather that the other day that even if it's something like, you know, the death of a child or the death of a celebrity, it might be something that doesn't directly affect all of us, but the result is going to be like, it's like we're reaching a boiling point, and it's just going to, like, catapult us into the next phase. And I believe, though, that the next phase is a good thing. That being said, you know, the world is a big mess, but also, I don't know, I just don't feel pessimistic about it. Like, I even watched this morning, I don't usually do this, but what was it that I watched? something about, you know, recent craziness happening in the news related to
what, like the new variant of the...
Yeah, just like all the stuff and the fourth industrial revolution and all the stuff. And I was like, man, it looks really scary. And like it does, you know, it does activate my little fear responses. But when I tune into myself inwardly, I'm like, I'm okay and everything's okay. And that doesn't mean that I know what it's going to look like or how it's going to go. It's just I know that I'm okay and everything's okay.
Yeah. Well, okay, I haven't even talked to you about I think it was your light code. Your Dreamweaver light code.
Wasn't that wild?
By the way, it just made me think of that 70s song, Dreamweaver.
Dreamweaver. I didn't even think of that.
Recently?
No.
Listen to it
I
again.
will. Okay.
Listen to it again, Amy. Listen to the lyrics. It's going to blow your mind.
Okay, I will.
Please do that as a favor to me today. Please listen to Dreamweaver, but as a plug for Amy's light codes, which again are amazing. I think your last one was about dreamweaving, and this is the time right now to imagine and create our future. And this is part of what we were going back to at the beginning when we just were talking of like anything that we thought was holding us down or keeping us from awakening or keeping us from, you know, being in our power. I feel like it's not there anymore. The more people can realize that that was just a fog layer.
Yes.
That can easily be like blown or swept away. Like we could imagine the most amazing future.
Yeah. And right.
I love that. I love it so much that I listened to that light code and I was just like, yes, this is it.
And then the fog parts and we see through the fog and we're like, holy shit, this has been available to us this whole time? Like, this is where we live?
But there has to be a reason for it, you know? Like,
yeah.
Like we were saying, like the suffering and the trauma and the pain was there to teach us lessons. Because maybe we wouldn't get to the place where we're at now, collectively, you know, to realize that. Like, that had to serve a purpose. Because if we had it all along, we would have been like spoiled kids.
Yes.
We would have been like those kids. Remember all the kids in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory who like Charlie was the only one because he had experienced suffering.
Totally. And right, like he had experienced deprivation and just being there was so exciting to him. Like he didn't even have his eye on the prize. He was just like, whoa, I'm here. Like, I'm stoked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. But I do feel, and you know, the solar eclipse is coming up on Friday. And I think right now, when you were talking about this, like, 0 point, what did you call it? Like,
It's like we're in the 0 point field, but more than, like, we can access the 0 point field. But right now, it's like, oh, we're actually in it. Like, I don't, it was really hard to describe.
I feel like this Friday is going to be another huge transformation or up-leveling or upgrading or whatever it is to our genetic coding. But like next couple of days, I know you had talked about in that light code, like next couple weeks, like dream your biggest dream, write it out, be as detailed as you can. Like even in the next couple of days, what is Wednesday today? Like dream up the best vision of the future you could ever imagine. And then in the solar eclipse, like do a meditation, do a ceremony, do whatever you want. Go to sleep that night. Forget even the solar eclipse happened. But like, I really feel like from there on out, I don't know. I'm a big believer in the eclipses and moons and all that. You know, I'm into the astrology, so.
It makes me wonder if the solar eclipse is going to be like the end of that little pause, and it's like, all right, now the pushing begins.
Right. No, but I think it might be.
Wow.
And just to bring it back we don't have a ton of more time, but, and I keep telling you I want to talk about my birth story, and I won't go into details. I'll bear you all from the gory details of Cara's birth story. But I had a natural birth with midwives, and I labored for like 2 days. I had a long, drawn-out labor of starting with contractions, and then they'd stop, and then, the dilation period was very long for me. And so by the time I think that I was fully dilated, my body was so exhausted, and I was just so, in this, limbo state of, I don't even know what's up from down, I don't know where to go from here. And, my midwife, she was like, well, your baby's head is there, I feel it. It's really, I think you're just in a pause right now before you have to push, because you need to reserve your energy. And she was like, so just, take the pause and then let me know. Your body will tell you when you're ready to push. I feel like we're in that pause.
Yeah.
And when I finally was ready, I was at the birthing center. I knew I didn't want to give birth laying down. That felt really unnatural to me. And they had started drawing the bath for me, because I thought I wanted to have a water birth. And, my body was like, no, I don't want to get in the bath either. So the thing I said is this is a little maybe TMI, so close your ears if you don't want to hear this one. But I felt like I was going to poop out a baby from my anus. That was the sensation I got. And I was like, I kept saying, I just feel so much pressure on my butthole.
Yep.
And they were like, that's because your baby's head is pushing on that, and it's right there ready to come out. And I was like, well, I just need something to, press on my butthole so I can push this baby out.
Counter pressure.
And they're like, look, you can sit, there's a thing called a birthing stool. I'm sure you know it as being a midwife. And so I sat down on the birthing stool and put, pressure on my butt. And then I asked my midwives, I said, how long is this going to take? And they're like, well, it could be, a couple hours. And they said the look in my eyes was like, hell no. Are you kidding me? And the most guttural sound came out, and I was like, ah! It was like I shook like the building, and with one push, I pushed Lena out.
Wow. You're like, screw this.
Yeah, I'm like, no. I've been in hell for 2 days. You're not telling me I have to do this for 2 more hours. But that pause was really what I needed. There's no way I could have gone from, days of laboring into pushing for hours. I needed the pause to then get all the energy and strength up.
Yeah.
To get her.
Yeah, and
I relate to that when you said, even I think it was on the last lunar eclipse, you said the next day you're like, I feel like we're in the birth canal, and I'm like, yes, that's exactly where we're at. So our head's just right there at the cervix right now.
Yeah, it's just there's no more uterus holding us back. There's no more cervix there. We're just ready to be squeezed out through the vagina.
We are ready to become slimy little creatures
through the vagina of the Christ Sophia out into the new version of ourselves.
Oh my gosh, I just saw the craziest image. Do you remember I think it was a play off of the movie Alien, but it was called Spaceballs, when the alien comes out of the guy's stomach.
Yes.
And then he does a little dance.
Yes.
He's like, hello, my lady. Hello, my darling.
Hello, my ragtime gal.
All of a sudden, I just saw all of humanity doing that, slimy little aliens.
We're like, we're here.
We're here. Here's the newest version of us.
Oh my God, that's so hilarious.
Yeah, so, these are the fun conversations we have.
Yeah, this is what we talk about pretty much daily. Welcome to our world.
Yeah, so good. It's so good. And this image she gave us of like, this is the tip of the iceberg. This is the microdose. The whole level is underneath the water.
Yes. Yep. That's right. Do you want to tell us about what you're, because I know you have to go soon. Do you want to tell us about what you're up to and what you're moving into with all your magical giftings?
Yes, this is great. So I will have to give gratitude and thanks to Amron for bringing me to the Priestess codes, to you, of course, my midwife of life, and then all of my beautiful sisters. I've been so inspired and have been, so many avenues have opened up that I have always really been into astrology, but I took Christina Luna's course, which was a full astrology course, and I realized that I wanted to really take it to the next level and start reading charts and really dive into that. But on a side note of that, like, I do and have been a movement practitioner, Pilates, yoga, I just call it movement, helping people like awaken movement in their bodies and energy sources in their bodies. And then I'm fully into calling myself a healer, a guide, whatever you want to call me. I am here for it all, and I just actually registered my domain name yesterday. It's caralinamovement.com, and my website should be up in the next couple weeks. So I've already started booking sessions. I've had clients in the past, but anybody who wants to look me up on Instagram, right now, my Instagram handle is CMB_movement. You can also look me up by my name. I don't think anyone else in the world has my name, as far as I know, because my last name, Busacker, is pretty obscure. And so I don't think there's any other Cara Busacker. So you can easily find me. I'm not hidden under a rock anywhere. Facebook, you can find me, and I would just love, I am such an open book. I love people. I love humanity. I love all souls. So anybody who wants to reach out to me, I will gladly, we can go from there.
And in our groups that we have together, she often leaves, like, I wouldn't say that they're daily astrology updates, but they're like maybe every couple days of like where the moon is, where, you know, Mars is, whatever important transits are happening. And they're always really, it's really, really neat when she shares them, because I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, makes sense. Makes sense why I woke up in this mood, and makes sense why today I'm feeling on fire and like just ready to get shit done, and makes sense why yesterday all I wanted to do was be under cozy blankets and do nothing and be like, bah, the world.
I'll leave with just a little update for today, which is, like I said, it's an amazing day because we're 12/1/21. Last night, the moon turned to Scorpio. So it was in Libra up until about mid last night, turned to Scorpio today. So we are a Sagittarius sun, a Sagittarius rising, and a Scorpio moon today. So if you're feeling a little emotional today, or if things are a little more, I don't know, passionate or tense, you can attribute it to the moon. And then one other huge thing that happened today is that Neptune turned direct after being in retrograde. So Neptune, Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto are all direct right now. Neptune is going through what is called a retro shade because it has to now traverse back to its starting point of becoming direct. But things and energies are on. We've got the solar eclipse coming up this Friday. So all I would say is, I don't like even to say buckle down because there's going to be a show. I would say, like, get comfy, dream your dreams, dream your wildest dreams, because it can get really good from here.
Yeah, it's gonna get it. Yeah, we're in a beautiful little zone, a beautiful little opportunity to know that not only can things be better. I mean, pretty much hi William. Pretty much everybody listening to this knows that things can be better, but I mean, like, they can be better, like fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, it can be amazing.
Yes, and like,
and it's not to say that suffering won't happen, but it will. But we can say that, like, we are the creators. We are the creators of our universe.
And that suffering, you move through it so much faster when you understand that it has a gift for you, and that you just surrender to it and receive. Like the suffering is not prolonged through years and years and years of wallowing in our suffering, right? So then suffering becomes purposeful, and it just adds to the texture.
Love it. Yep.
Well, Cara, this was a delightful conversation. You are a delightful being. And
Thank you.
I'm
you
so...
You know the same for you. And everyone listening.
Everyone listening. Right. Thank you, everybody, for being here, because if it weren't for you listening to this recorded conversation, it would have just been a conversation between Cara and I, which is wonderful in and of itself, but you add the extra dimension. You add the magic. You are going to take the nuggets that resonate with you and change your life, basically.
That's what we're all here for.
Yeah, it's all exponentially life-changing. Thank you, everybody, for your time and your attention and your focus and just your amazing energy. We love you so much. If you liked this episode, then, screenshot yourself watching it and tag us on Instagram, post it to your Instagram stories, tag us so that we know. But even if you don't want to do that, that's okay. I often don't do that for other people, mostly because I'm driving when I'm listening to podcasts. So it's all right. I love you anyway. And yeah, we'll catch you on the next episode, everyone. I hope you have a beautiful day or night, wherever you are.
So much love.
Hello, beautiful being of shadow and light. If you loved this episode and you want more, you can join my new membership, Light Codes. This membership is the place where you will receive all the light codes that I am channeling on how to navigate the intensifying energies of this next phase of the rapid awakening and ascension of the human collective consciousness on Earth. But also all the light codes on how to step into our highest selves, to activate our soul mission, to harness our magic and power as creators, and to manifest the highest timelines for ourselves and for the collective. To find out more information about light codes and all the ways to work with me, see the link in the show notes or visit amybelair.com. Thank you so much for being here with me on this episode. I appreciate you more than my words could ever say. Please remember to rate, review, subscribe, and share, and I will catch you on the next episode.